Welcome back, class. So in this video, we are talking about our first line of defense. This is the way that our immune system stops pathogens from getting into our body. So it's kind of the preemptive part of our immune system. The most obvious part of our first line of defense is the skin. The skin is made of the epidermis. Here, this is the epidermis, both this and this darker layer here. This is a thinner outer portion that has tightly packed cells in it. So if you look at this, you can see how tightly packed all of these cells are. And it has this layer of keratin on top of it. Keratin is a protein that helps protect your skin. And underneath your epidermis is the dermis. Things about your skin that help make it unappealing to microbes, besides being a solid barrier, it's also constantly shedding. So if you have an infection on a skin cell and then that skin cell is shed off, that infection is gone with it. So that infection is going to have to grow and spread quickly enough to avoid that. Your skin is also dry, and that dryness helps inhibit a lot of microbial growth. So typically a lot of the infections that we see on the skin are going to be limited to a gram-positive infection that can survive that drier environment, or things like a fungal infection. Then there are mucous membranes. Mucous membranes are composed of both an epithelial layer and a connective tissue layer. And mucous membranes are kind of that wet part of your body. They line your digestive tract, your respiratory tract, your urinary tract, and your reproductive tract. So even though these are all in your body, all of these tracts are open to the external environment, right? So if you breathe something in and then breathe it out, it goes into your lungs, into your respiratory tract. But it's not really until it is past that mucous membrane until it's in your body. If you eat something and it's going through your digestive tract, it's just like it's in a tube going through your body. It's not yet in your body. So these are all parts of your body that are open to the external environment, and that mucous membrane helps protect those organs of your body. Mucous membranes secrete a chemical called mucus. Mucus is slightly viscous, and it is a glycoprotein. That means it is a protein with sugars attached to it, and it's a little bit slimy-ish. And the texture of mucus. Mucus is made by goblet cells, and it has two important jobs. One is it protects these tracts, your digestive, respiratory, and urinary tract. It protects them from desiccation. That means it stops them from drying out. As air and chemicals are constantly moving through it, it's not going to just dry out. It also traps microbes. So because it's a little bit sticky, if a microbe gets in there, it can get stuck. And so here's a microbe stuck in this layer of mucus. And then there is what's called a ciliary escalator. So if you imagine that this is part of your respiratory tract, and these cilia are going to be beating upwards, so that anything that you inhale, anything that gets trapped in this mucus, is not going to continue on down to your lungs. It's beating upwards to move it back up, so that then you will cough it up or sneeze it out to get it out of your body. Some other physical factors we have the lacrimal apparatus. That's what's shown in this picture. The lacrimal apparatus will wash out the eye. So if something gets on your eye, your lacrimal apparatus is going to be producing tears to get it out. You have saliva in your mouth. That helps keep microbes rinsed off of your teeth. Urine, which is constantly flowing out, and vaginal secretions, which are flowing out. So anything gets into your urinary tract or your vaginal tract, it just kind of gets pushed out. Your vibrissae, or your nose hairs, can trap things, and your cerumen, or your earwax, can trap things. The epiglottis, which is the covering to your glottis, helps protect things from getting into your respiratory tract. Peristalsis, which is that pumping motion that helps get things, move it through your digestive tract. And then defecation and vomiting, which get things out of your body. There's also chemicals in our first line of defense. One of those would be sebum. Sebum is the word for oil. So this is oil that your skin is making. It is bacteriostatic. That means it stops bacteria from growing. And fungostatic means it stops fungus from growing. Skin is also very low pH. It has a pH of around 3 to 5, mainly because of fatty acids and lactic acid. Lysozyme, we've talked about lysozyme briefly already. Lysozyme is a chemical found in perspiration, tears, saliva, urine, a lot of the body fluids you make, that is able to destroy peptidoglycan. So it destroys bacterial cell walls, which then reduces the ability of those cells to function. Gastric juice or stomach juice has a very, very low pH, 1.2 to 3.0. That is so acidic that most bacteria and most toxins are going to be denatured and destroyed at that pH. Vaginal secretions have a pH of about 3 to 5. That's mainly because of this bacteria, lactobacillus. Lactobacillus will be digesting the glycogen that's available and turning it into lactic acid. And lactic acid will make an acid, so it's a low pH. And that inhibits microbes. It stops a lot of fungi from growing there. If you have a patient that is going to be on antibiotics and those antibiotics could kill the lactobacillus, you might counsel your patient to take yogurt or some other supplement to help keep some bacteria growing. And urine also contains enzymes. Then our normal microbiome is part of our first line of defense. It is able to compete with pathogens through microbial antagonism or competitive exclusion. This should be something you're comfortable with already, but just as a review, microbial antagonism will give a competitive advantage. Your normal microbiome is already there. It's already taking up space. It's already digesting the nutrients available and doesn't leave anything for a pathogen to come in. Your normal microbiome might produce substances, antibiotics, or other chemicals that are harmful to pathogens. And they can alter conditions that affect pathogen survival. Like we were just talking about how bacteria can produce an acid and lower the pH. So that alters the condition to make it more difficult for a fungus to grow. Okay, so now you can identify physical factors and chemical factors that prevent microbes from entering the body through the skin and mucous membranes, through the eyes, and through the digestive tract and the respiratory tract. And you can discuss microbial antagonism. All right, let's start talking about our second line of defense. I'll see you back in a little bit to talk about all of our white blood cells, our lymphatics, and everything else in our second line of defense. Bye.